Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for Stanford versus MIT match, the game number 2 on this stream at least. I'm It's Lemons, joined by Rebel Fox again, ready for this game 2 and ready to see what Stanford can bring after losing game number 1 to Princeton.
Yeah, MIT is bringing another solid roster into the competition. The big thing for Stanford is last game they had a couple of people in different roles maybe than they're used to playing in. So in this one, 99 toxicity going into the top lane. That seems to be a position where he feels comfortable. Carlton Danks is coming from the support going into the jungle, has some champion pool there. So let's hope maybe swapping around some of the roles for the players might give them a little more of an edge being in some more comfortable places.
Yeah, hopefully so. And we'll have to see what this changeup brings. Is still trying to keep our eyes on Toxicity, who is that Grandmaster player. Did do very well in the Trundle in game number 1. Just unfortunately had kind of the pieces falling around him. So we'll have to see if maybe in the top lane he can make a name for himself as a carry. But we'll have to see as we get into the draft where they want to kind of go with their strategy this time around. As Soxu, as you said, is going to be in that support role. A little bit different than playing the Aatrox from game number 1.
That is. The other big thing is that last game, it felt like Fiddix and Carlton Danks in that bottom lane were the weaker points on the map for the side of Stanford. And so when Gangib and Kirito Sensei, they come into this one, and they might actually be one of the stronger points coming in for MIT. So it could be rather good to have that one coming through, and they could still potentially end up losing that one. So we got to see how Soxu can translate that into a bottom lane, make sure they can maybe stall a little bit better.
Yeah, we will. And the first thing, we were talking on the break about what Carlton Danks could possibly play in the jungle. And there was a very short list, but one of those people on the list was going to be Graves. And they take that right off the board. And Wukong coming out on the ban list for Stanford.
Yeah, I also made mention during the break that Janginator, he plays Wukong in the jungle a lot, so making sure that one doesn't come through for the team. And Adonis loses his Aurelia a second time. Blitzcrank, man, they are target banning heavy in this one. Yes. Blitzcrank taken away from Kirito as well. These are all champions that are very selective towards certain people, making sure they don't get their favorite champion to play in this one.
Yeah, you gotta do your research, gotta have a little bit of that extra stuff in your draft. As a couple bans coming across the board here already. We do see the Garen ban coming across. Don't want to give that over to Toxicity, as the Cassiopeia is going to be the last ban for the first phase on the red side.
Absolutely. Make sure, again, none of the top lane champion. Garen is one of the most played champions for Toxicity. As again, his ELO is why we keep mentioning him. And as a top lane player, plays the Garen. Also loves Singed, so we might see that one come out. And I would love to see some Singed play here. Coming out from game number 1, the Rengar on the hover, but Set makes more sense for Plasma Cloud. I think he tends to play very meta champions here. Mordekaiser and Set are his 2 most played, and so the Set makes a lot of sense. Still flexible also to the bottom lane potentially. Hey, there it is.
There we go. We got the Singe locked in there for the top lane. More than likely going to be on Toxicity, as Set was locked in as that first pick, as you had highlighted. But gotta love the Singed. And they might be taking some pointers from the first game against Princeton. They're going to go ahead and lock in the Ezreal.
Yeah, and you got to also point out just the clarity in that top lane matchup where Set has a tough time chasing people down. That's one of the biggest things. And you're not even allowed to chase the Singe. This is rule number 1 in League of Legends. So, I mean, you're going to have some difficulty in that top lane matchup pretty much no matter what. As long as he's not in melee range, for Set to be able to pull off a full combo and utilize that W to deny a lot of the damage coming through from Singe, you got more than enough of a free laning phase. You could even potentially see proxy Singe. That typically happens in a losing lane more than anything. Yeah. It's definitely a possibility coming here from 99 Toxicity.
I love it. We have like completely different philosophies for these champions if they go up against each other. You have the I want to run at you champion, the you never want to run at me champion. So I'm going to be so excited to see how it comes out on the Rift. Now, we did have Alistair and Jarvan locked in here for MIT. So their composition started to build up a little bit of tankiness here.
That they are. A lot of engage and a lot of tankiness coming in for a team fight. You have massive. I wonder if they're trying to set up for Yasuo here, but would be easy to be banned out here. Like I said, if I can read it, they can read it. That's definite. And right now, I mean, you're talking in Alistar laning phase, it could be a Yasuo into the bottom side of the map, which would be a really big team fighting tool here alongside a Jarvan. I think it's a fantastic setup. Ezreal doesn't abuse it all that well. You could use the range advantage, but typically more safe of a champion than anything. They're going to ban out mid lane champions as well. My goodness. They have to know the Yasuo is coming here.
I know, right? It seems like it's all leading down the same road and everybody knows it, but they just don't want to quite get there yet. funny, though. They take away the Xerath from an Adonis, who actually did really well with it last game.
He played very well on that Xerath pick coming into last game. He was part of the reason why they were so contestable through most of the game, and a lot of the damage had come out of him. It was the big reason why they take it away. The Vayne ban, no.
Oh, man.
Number 1, they leave up Yasuo. Number 2, Azir is still on the board if they wanted to ban out Korar. Now, they could also go towards the LeBlanc. They're both incredibly strong champions and good for this team fighting setup that you've got. But the Yasuo being left up, maybe they want to pick it themselves, but there's nothing they've got going for them at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you think is the Singe with the knockup, but I mean, that's not going to be a lot for you as a Yasuo. You definitely want more tools than that, as Kassadin is going to be the last ban here in this game from the blue side, as we're waiting to see what these last few picks for each team are going to be.
Yeah, right now you're waiting. At the moment, you've got jungle. Maybe look for the support role here, something that can deny the Alistar. Bard isn't a terrible choice here, but I'm not sure if that's going to come through. So it could just be another one of these tanky players. Braum, Taric, not too bad of choices in their own right. Going to go for the Lux instead.
Ooh.
Again, it's a little bit difficult to read the pool of Soxu since he doesn't play support. So Lux, pretty wide-ranging, and there it is. There it is. I know it's coming. You might as well block it now.
Is this that part from the Holy Grail where he's just running at you, just see him, and like just keeps getting closer, but you don't realize it? It finally just shows up on your doorstep, apparently. It's going to have to be the Yasuo lock-in here, as that's going to round out their composition for the ADC role, at least, as very, very strong composition so far, at least, coming out from MIT.
Yeah, I would agree with that. They have a really good team fighting composition. Now, the Zed is being hovered. I'm not in love
I don't think so.
How much AD has come through. Yeah, there's a lot of AD, but if he wants to flex, he's going to flex in this one on the Zed.
Hey, if there's ever a time to do it, okay. Going back to the tried and true.
More reasonable.
I gotta go with the late game and the Azir able to do so much, especially around the objectives. Honestly, that's why I love Azir so much, is how fast he can burn the dragons and the barons later on in the game. Gonna have to see what Stanford want to choose to round out their composition here, though. As Soxu is on the table. He is in the support role, but going to more than likely lock in something a bit interesting. LeBlanc gonna be it. So it is going to be a LeBlanc mid and Lux Ezreal bot lane.
Yeah, where I can appreciate the LeBlanc pick is that I was going to make mention, this team fight coming through from the side of MIT is very focused on the initial engage. So you've got the Yasuo, you've got the Alistar, you've got things of that sort that are coming through here for your initial engage. And Jarvan set follow up on that really well too. But the only damage you've got behind that is Azir. So if you have something like the Singe was the only thing I was going to make mention, maybe the Olaf also in the right circumstance. But now you've also got LeBlanc to put pressure on that Azir and not let him free fire into a cluster of the Cataclysm, the Set Ultimate, the Alistar knockups, the Yasuo. Like, there's this big initial hard engage with a lot of damage in it. But if you're not good, you're not ahead on the Yasuo, on the Set, on the Jarvan to do that initial damage, then it's all going to come from Azir. And now you've got pressure for the Azir to push him out the back of the fight, so we can't just throw 3 soldiers into the Cataclysm pit and just eviscerate everything.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something to look out on. I just feel so bad for Plasma Cloud going this game. I don't think he's going to have a good time. It's going to be a set, and you have a little bit of fun on set initially, but when you look at the composition he's going against, like, there's no way you're going to catch anybody. Like, First of all, if you do even get close, Lux is just going to bind you if you get within, like, 5 feet. But besides that, everybody has mobility.
I mean, the 2 champions that he can most because you got Distortion for the LeBlanc to get away. Ezreal, you can't touch anyway because he's far away, but also has the arcane shit. You've got Lux, who's super far away most of the time during the fight. So you've got Olaf, you've got Singe. Ragnarok comes through from Olaf, so you can't ult or E him, so you're going to lose that fight. And Singed, you can't chase down because of the slow, and even if you get on him, he just flips you away. Like, this is a terrible composition for Plasma Cloud to play into. They knew it was coming, and they designed it around it, so he's going to be in a rough place. Again, he's going to have to rely on the Jarvan, on the Yasuo, the Alistar to help him out, get him a little space to work with so he can throw those autos in. Maybe it might even be beneficial just to play pure side lane because I don't know how much he's going to be able to contribute otherwise.
Yeah, and you do have the insurance policies of the Azir and the Yasuo. Very, very strong late game. You just have to get there. but that is the biggest question for the set. Gotta get there. Although he does have some strength later on in the game. But with that being said, we have our compositions set. We are going to get the draft over with here, get through the spectator lane, and we'll have a game for you on the other side. It's going to be Stanford versus MIT. Do not go anywhere. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I believe we are going to have this here for you. We do have the wonderful game here set up for you. All teams onto the Rift. Just give me 1 second while we set this up. As we're just getting everything set up on the technical side of it. We just had a little bit of an issue with the starting here as we get everything squared away for you. So, all right. All right, we are on to the Rift, ladies, and we are here with Stanford versus MIT. MIT on the blue side, it's going to be Plasma Cloud in the top lane, Janganator in the jungle, Coronar in the mid lane, Gib in the ADC position, as well as Kirito Sensei in the support.
That's right. And we see Stanford in game number 2. Same players, different lineup. 99 Toxicity in the top lane. Carlton Danks in the jungle. And Adonis in the mid lane. Fidix in that ADC role. And Saksu in the support role.
Yeah, we don't see anything too crazy. Just a nice little line of scrimmage here. Janganator getting off a little bit late from the home base there. But I did want to touch a little bit on why we are all here today. You heard it at the top of the stream. Why this fundraiser is going on. We are benefiting the COVID-19 Solidarity Response Fund. All donations go to tracking and understanding the spread of the virus, ensuring patients get adequate care, as well as providing essential supplies for frontline workers and evidence-based guidance. So all of your contributions, all of your help is so wonderful. And we are already almost 1/5 of the way there after the game number 1. So your donations are definitely being heard, and we thank you so much. But we have Game of League of Legends to start off here, and the buffs are going down pretty regularly. Red side start for Janganator on the Jarvan, as well as the blue side start for Carlton.
That's correct. Nothing too crazy coming out. So funny thing, Set actually usually sits in the brush waiting for his top lane opponent to come up and then is able to abuse him because his level 1 is nuts. Singe actually pulls that card in this one with his Poison Trail, making Plasma Cloud walk through that in this one. So pretty nice to see. I also want to note Coronar. So there's a couple of different ways that you can play the Azir with your Keystone early on into the game. And the big one that you do into a lot of mobile matchups that you don't win pure trades is the poke battle where you take Comet. And that's what he's done in this game. I love that adaptation from him. So many times you see Azirs when they take lethal tempo in every single matchup, and it doesn't always work. This is a matchup that you can abuse the early game with that cow. Look at that poke damage. You can't jump in if you're LeBlanc now because you will get beaten in that all-in.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to point out something that I saw. Fidix picking up the Conqueror. Just going off of game number 1, he just wants to copy and wants to be able to carry as hard as Deathlock did. So I love it. Fidix able to change it up a little bit, going with that Ezreal Conqueror in the bot lane. But again, nothing too crazy in Keystones here. A lot of Conquerors across the board. I do like what you had pointed out with the Arcane Comet on the Azir. Definitely already see the fruits of that labor coming out early in this game.
Yeah, most definitely. We actually see both junglers heading up towards the top side. Once again, we could see a little bit more top side focus throughout most of the game because of the Senge and the Set both being pretty strong. And snowballing one of those two would make it very difficult for the other to stay in the laning phase. In this bot lane, I mean, it's Yasuo Alistar, so the engage is going to be there. Nice flip on Plasma Cloud. Ooh, Carlton Danks is here.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit of an issue for Plasma Cloud. He's trying to get to his jungler. Danks is actually getting very low. Flagging Drag goes through. That's first blood. Going over to Plasma Cloud. Toxicity is going to go down as well. We said at the beginning that Plasma Cloud was going to have so much trouble. But what is it? He starts with a double kill in this game.
Alright, it's a little unfair because he used his third summoner spell to summon his jungler over to the side of the map. But good put happening there from the Jarvan to be able to get to the top side in time to make that counter gank work up against these two. Plasma Cloud with the Facebreaker combined with the Haymaker gives him enough time to stall with and enough damage to fight up against these two until the Jarvan is able to make his approach. No ultimate from Carlton Danks either yet, so he's not at the point where that CC doesn't affect him and he can keep fighting through that. Instead, gets chain CC'd, ends up going down, and the Singe just gets run down too. Really well played to make sure that Plasma Cloud, who's already not going to have a great game, is going to get started. Now, I think we're going to have a pause soon because it looks like Carlton Danks did just disconnect.
Yeah, definitely need to get that solved. Don't want to continue the game with the DC, as these games are important for the tournament at least. They are friendly though, so everybody's got to take their time to make sure everything's right, and especially with everything going on, everybody being at home, the internet is not in the best situation right now. But we will have the game back pretty shortly here. Any big points you want to talk about from the beginning of the game so far?
Looks like Alistar was able to make a full combo happen onto Lux, and it burns the flash with Soxu. So, it's not going to be a massive deal, but in that 5-minute time period that you've got the flash down, you should be able to hit level 6 on the Alistar, or at least make another, or my apologies, on the Yasuo, and be able to make another engage happen, or at minimum, just make another engage happen onto Soxu. And if Lux gets too aggressive and ends up falling bait to that, you're going to have that issue, especially since Kirito kept the flash, so you can set up a really mean, it's a headbutt into pulverize combo off of a minion. So you headbutt a minion, flash pulverize into the Lux, use your E for the chain CC, and the Yasuo should be able to chain that together with his tornado and kill a very squishy Lux early on. I'm excited to see that combo potentially come out here for this bottom lane. It should be a focal point for the side of MIT.
Yeah, and especially with the Yasuo. I mean, you have this extreme carry that you're looking to get prop up and get some kills under their belts. And Kirito is definitely looking for that. As you pointed out, the flash being burned on Soxu is going to be big. They don't have that extra safety down there, and they are very, very squishy. So I expect if they do want to actually accomplish something on the bot lane, it's going to be a bit rough, but I think that MIT are going to be able to get something rolling down here, and they definitely want to. I mean, you have to get this Yasuo ahead, as I already pointed out, but everybody focusing around it. I mean, you already see Olaf down this way. It could get a little bit rough.
And most definitely. The problem is that all of the CC tied into this bottom lane comes specifically from Lux, and if it's not Lux, then it's got to be chains from LeBlanc. So the direct CC you have to access damage from Ezreal or from the Olaf is going to be mostly soft CC. Things like the Lux E, that's easier to hit. Things like the hot tomahawks coming through from the Olaf as well. That's the issue you run into, is that you can't set up the damage as easily as if you had something like Jarvan, Sejuani, one of the tankier, more CC-based junglers that you could set up this bot lane with. So yeah, you've got double melee that can get abused by double range, but you've already seen the reason why that's rough, because the Yasuo can play very safely. The Alistar is always a threat of engage into these two, and especially without a jungler to help these two CC, help get the damage out that they need, it could be a rough laning phase if they don't get snowballed early on. So I also expect the Yasuo and the Alistar here to contribute a lot more to some of the skirmishes, because they have better access to damage, good access to CC, and combo with a lot of the rest of the champions on this team.
Yeah, I did want to give a little bit of an update. It looks like the Stanford jungler, unfortunately, his internet has gone down, so we're just going to wait for that to come back online. But as you were talking about snowballs, I just want to talk about Plasma Cloud up here in this top lane. I mean, he starts off with a double kill in a matchup that we had no hope for in the draft, and already showing and proving us wrong is Plasma Cloud. What do you think about that so far? I mean, obviously it was a bit topsy-turvy early game, but starting off with 2 kills, do you think he can really give Singed a run for his money?
Blade of the Rune King certainly makes everybody's life a lot easier in the top lane now, with those rulers building that item no matter what. So it's helpful to get that Bilgewater Cutlass and the Blade of the Rune King active to start with, because it slows the Singe down, makes sure it's accessible, and even more important is when the Singe pokes with some of the gas, with the flip, anything like that, you can sustain back up through those itemization. That's the important thing. I'm curious whether Plasma Cloud goes Blade of the Rune King into Black Cleaver and then immediately, or Trinity Force, either one of the two, and then into Gargoyle Stoneplate for team fighting. You see that all too often on the set. Or if he goes for, again, pure split push, he could go Blade of the Rune King into Wit's End, will not take damage from the Singe for the majority of the game, and will sustain through any poke damage he lands. Not to mention, it makes him a ferocious 1v1er into the likes of the Olaf, even with those W-ups, with the vicious strikes coming through from the Olaf. It's going to be tough to fight this Singe, tough to fight this set, my apologies, at any point in the laning phase. And again, his contribution to the team fight is good, but it's not as big as everybody else on his team. So they could play a 4-1 strategy. I would expect more so to go to the former instead, go to that more team fight oriented build.
Yeah, for sure. And really that team fight is going to be interesting. I really would like to see the Wit's End because you do see a lot of AP. Even Ezreal does have a lot of AP in his kit as well. Even if you are going more of an AD build, and you have the Lux, you have the LeBlanc, the Singe obviously we already highlighted on. But I would really like to see a little bit more magic resist come out from Plasma Cloud. Maybe more aggressive magic resist, as we were kind of saying, like the Wit's End. But we'll have to see how that goes. As we are going to see how this kind of pans out, especially for the Azir. The late game carries are there, and so far they're winning the game. And we're only 4 minutes in. We've had a long pause so far, but things are looking good for the side of MIT.
But they are. Adonis is doing fine in the I think the mid lane is a little bit just curious, just because of the fact that LeBlanc, Actually, her pure laning strength isn't always there, just because of the fact that it's a little bit of a volatile matchup, especially into a ranged matchup. It almost feels like you're playing a melee champion sometimes, because you have to be very, very committed to pulling a full combo to get really good chunk damage out. One Q here, a chain here, not enough. You got to get a Q into another Q, into a distortion, into a chain to really make that damage felt, and that's the problem. It's like Azir doesn't have to do that. One Q from an Azir, one auto attack, one comet, that's a quarter, half of the health bar of LeBlanc gone right at the moment. So, like, ideally, Adantis wants to get out of the map or wants to skirmish more, so you could use the mobility of LeBlanc to surprise people and to get those combos off so that they feel like they don't have outplay to get away from the damage. It was in the laning phase, you see it coming from most angles.
Yeah, for sure. And
hey.
With that being said, it looks like we have a reconnect. Going to be just a few moments until we really get everything rolling here, but should have that pretty quickly. As just kind of highlighting that a little bit more. But then you think of the in and out of an Adonis on the LeBlanc, trying to find these picks, and I don't see very many picks being able to be had. Unfortunately, you have a big, I feel like just a combination of big beefy bodies. We have Set, Jarvan, the Yasuo, and the Alistar, who are all going to be on top of each other. The only one I can think of is the Azir, but you already highlighted how that engage from an Adonis onto the Azir is not going to work out in his favor too much unless some other factors kind of come into play.
Now, I also want to dictate that was the laning phase exclusively.
Yeah.
When you start breaking into team fights, you get angles over walls, you can find different things, and especially in team fights where you're trying to throw damage forward as the Azir, it's a lot easier as the LeBlanc to try to get into those fights and do those things. So that's what I want to point out more than anything, is that later on, Adonis is going to be invaluable. So this, I guess, just kind of boils down to the main point of this whole discussion, which is that the laning phase for Adonis might not look strong, but as long as he gets his itemization, gets all of the penetration, he maybe gets Ludens into like Void Staff, things of that sort, it's gonna be fine, because as long as he pops his ear in the late game, you don't have to worry. Then you can take out the Set, you can take out the Yasuo, take out everybody that you need to make sure the damage is gone, because it's all contingent on LeBlanc killing this Azir later.
Yeah, exactly. And the team fights are going to be the tail of the tape for this game, I feel like. We saw a big influence of the team fights in last game. Toxicity taking the bad end of a trade up here for Plasma Cloud. He's going to flash forward, get tossed over the other side. He's going to not chase that cinch. He knows the base rules of League of Legends.
And again, it doesn't matter. The very slim trading damage that the Singe just was able to put onto his opposition means nothing because of the Vampiric Scepter coming out. Not to mention the natural high health regeneration of Set. I mean, what are you supposed to do if you're the Singe in this matchup now? He has more than enough sustain to tank through most of your damage. It's a rough lane now for the Singe. Later on in the game, he can put pressure down. He will do more damage if he builds a more aggressive AP style. He can get into this team, try to flip the Jarvan, flip the Set away from everybody. But right now, the laning phase is not going to go his way anytime soon, which is why there's a potential right now, as long as the top side feels clear for the Singe, that he might actually find a better option in proxying than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. And I am a little sad. I would have loved to see Toxicity on more of a like hard carry champion. Singed can do that to an extent, but not going to be that big flashy playmaker that I would have expected Toxicity to try and grab, but we'll have to see as the game plays out if this Singed pick is worth it, and if Stanford actually go down 0-2 if they lose this game. So that could be a very interesting storyline there. Carlton Danks is going to go on to Janganator. Adonis going to follow that up as well. The chain is not going to finish there, as that would have secured the kill, but able to get out was Janganator.
Yeah, I think if level 6 actually is there for Janganator, it would have been possible they just take that engagement. I think if you go in there as Coronar, push both of these two into the wall, especially with the distortion having been used from the LeBlanc, you would have either forced the flash out of Adonis, which wouldn't have been good, and then the Cataclysm comes down, does enough damage, you definitely get a kill onto this Olaf afterwards from the Azir. So that might have been a worthwhile trade for them, especially since the first blood's already off the board, but not going to worry about that one. No level 6 for Zhang coming through quite yet. I expect him to be a little more active around the map. I'd like to see him go bottom lane to try to get this Yasuo ahead, but we'll see whether that's the case.
I have some sad news for you, Rebel. We will not get an Infernal Soul this time around.
Oh, man.
It's not going to happen. It's not in the cards. The script was not written for it. It's going to be one of the other three. But it's okay, as does seem like we have another disconnect. Maybe some more internet issues.
It's a visual bug.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
It is.
As it's starting. I mean, we've slowly been getting to this game. We've got about 4 minutes the first time, second time, but nothing has changed in this last little bit. Mostly just farming around. Everybody is doing about on par. The only one that's a little bit ahead is going to be an Adonis in the mid lane, who is about 11 CS above Coronar. But Azir can catch up pretty quickly, especially he has a lot of wave clear with those Sand Soldiers, and they are level 6 now. So we might see a little bit of spiciness once we get back into the game. Level 6 is coming up across the board. Earlier for the side of Stanford on most accounts, but everybody will be there just shortly.
Yeah. Now, if I recall, the wave was crashing into the tower, so a few minions, maybe a wave's worth, was crashed into the tower from Coronar, where he could have teleported back in to catch it. He saved it instead. So he tanks that one wave, which gives him a CS deficit, about 100 gold advantage for Adonis at this point. But you do have that fact that you have the teleport versus the ignite. So if a play happens bottom lane or in the river in somewhere you're not ready for it to respond to, is the Azir immediately, like the LeBlanc might be able to distortion to, teleport comes in, you're there faster than LeBlanc to help the play develop. So in that bottom lane, if you have Gang, if you have Kirito, if you've got those two setting up a play on the bottom side, you can be there as the Azir with a good teleport to put that wall up to make sure that the play goes the way you want it to. And is it worth a wave? If they make it work, if they get a double kill on bottom lane, get a dragon off the back end of it, it's absolutely worth it. But then you have to make this teleport worth it. So in the next few minutes, probably, I would say the next 5 minutes. In the next 5 minutes, if you make a play with this teleport, it was worth it. If not, then you wasted that cooldown that you could have saved that one wave of minutes.
Yeah, you definitely got flash forward. Coronar is going to go down. Adonis takes advantage of the pause, maybe the lack of concentration, and he just takes down that kill. That is one kill going over to Stanford.
That feels really bad again.
So bad.
I wonder if he pops this teleport here too and just makes all of that analysis. Oh no!
Yeah, oh
he
no!
Just wasted all the analysis too. It feels so bad.
It's all in the plays. It's all in the plays. Carlton Danks had it all planned the whole time. No, it's Adonis taking advantage of the situation and coming out on top in that one. It's still 2-1, a slight gold lead in the favor of MIT. But big wave here crashing on the bot side as Gib is going to get light bound there. But Fidix is going to have a bit of trouble trying to get all these minions here with the tower, as Dragon has been started by MIT and is going to go down. So that's the first Dragon of the game.
Ooh, okay, so we see maybe some movement from Coronar. He gets warded out right there, so he's not going to get around the edge. I think they might have set up a bot lane dive if he was able to. Again, the important thing, though, is that they do get the Dragon. That's pretty nice. Coronar didn't miss that massive wave of minions. I think it was a wave and a half, 2 waves of minions that crashed under his tower because of the teleport, thankfully, so he's not going to fall even further behind the LeBlanc. So TP worth it in the end because they still get the Infernal Drake, which is the objective they want. Now, Jarvan might catch Olaf with his hand in the blue buff right here, and it could be a collapse from everybody. This could be a 3v3.
It could be, although it does look like Janganero does part of it. But I have to stop right now because we just got a $500 donation.
Oh, really?
This cause, and gotta love it. Thank you so much for helping us out and getting us ever closer to our goal, which we are at 1376 out of 5,000. Doing so well so early on in the stream. So thank you so much again. But right back into the League of Legends.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for the donations. $500, too. That's generous. I don't know who did that, but appreciate it 100%.
And they engage already. Last breath going immediately onto Saksu, as well as the stun, but not enough follow-up there to finish off the job.
Yeah, it looked like there was a little bit of a misplay just because of the fact I think the miscommunication came through here from Kirito and the Yasuo off the back of it. You could have followed up potentially with that flash from Gangbait to get the kill onto Saksu, but didn't want to commit his own flash to that to make sure that he gets the kill. So a lot of resources burnt in the bottom lane, but again, it's only Saksu's flash that they lost on the side of Stanford, so looking a lot better for themselves.
Yeah, seriously. Coronar taking a bit of a bad trade in the mid lane. You did see almost another 3v3 happen on the bot side. You saw the junglers there. Nobody really wanted to go all the way in, as Coronar is going to be in some trouble. Needs to get away. Does flash, as that's going to be a big cooldown for the Azir.
The Shifting Sands is available the whole time. I'm curious why. So, like, there's a couple of ways you can play this lane, but you knew the Ignite wasn't quite up from Adantis yet if you were timing that properly, so they must not have, because
oh my goodness.
It goes from Toxicity.
This fight here, the Ghost with the blade, I just love it. It's just so quick. It's like you see the speed up coming through from the Cinch, and then all of a sudden Set's just as fast, and they're just running right next to each other. It's like, all right,
like,
cool.
right in range for the flip too, so like he ends up getting caught with like 1 pixel of difference between the two of them. Yeah,
that's so great. I love this matchup up here, man. The Set into the Cinch. It is going to be the key matchup here, but we are 11 minutes in. Next dragon is going to be the Mountain Drake, so we're not going to have those two souls. It's either going to be the Cloud Soul or the Ocean Soul, and I already know which one we're leaning towards for this team. For these teams.
I don't know what you're talking about. Those souls are of equal value, and everybody loves both of those souls in the same amount. That's exactly what we're going to say here on this stream. We have no preference for either of these souls.
There's no soul bias here. No,
there is not. No soul bias, no difference in strength whatsoever. The Rift Herald is likely the play that's going to come first before any of the dragons come through here, so I'm curious. The bot lane has roamed up now. It is the Alistar, at least, that has come up here to help support the taking of this Rift Herald here for the side of MIT. And again, he's doing fine in his own on the bottom side. Again, if you hit a good Lux binding, they could engage into him, but it's still relatively risky. The Yasuo is pretty powerful, but they bail on it. They leave the top lane. They've got this setup. They have 4 members on the top side. What are you doing? You have a powerful set, too, to work with. Like, why bail on that Rift Herald play? It looks like Olaf's going to be able to steal that away because there's no vision in the pit, and he went over the back of it.
Yeah, Dragon coming up in about 1 minute and 15 seconds, which the only thing that I could think they were trying to head down this way for, but are going to give up that Rift Herald, as you had pointed out, which is going to be very strong for Carlton Danks to try and get something going, for one of his lanes at least, try and get a little bit of gold in one of their pockets there, as you do see a dive potentially happening here. They really want to commit to this, as Kirito Sensei is going to start it off here, as they get the beautiful last breath coming in. The Wombo combo is there. But it's going to be a death going over Janganator, going down to Saksu, as well as Girito getting tossed into the tower, not going to go down. Rift Herald was used in the mid, almost got the tower, but just not enough damage there.
Yeah, but it looks like that play on the bottom side, it only results in the 2 kills and not the tower because of the teleport coming through from 99 Toxicity. You got to appreciate he got the 1 kill, which was nice. Almost got a second one, but the Alistar wasn't taking the tower, but importantly, nice.
That Ragnarok, oh my goodness. Carlton Danks with the quick hands, holy cow.
Very, very clean there. But again, importantly, the mid tower almost got broken here for the side of Stanford. Looks a lot better for them in this case, just because, again, the fact was a 2-for-1 and multiple tower plays going onto Adonis and to this Olaf is much better than a couple of, like, maybe 1-2 plates being shared between multiple members, and you don't get much else off the back end of it. You get the 1 kill advantage. It's not worth it. The Lux and the Ezreal are going to have a long time coming before they end up scaling up to the point where they're strong, which is the one good thing, is that, like, if you can't catch the Ezreal and the Lux because they're too far back, you end up putting them in a hole to the point where you can't actually fight into this team, even if you are safe with those two.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Dragon is going to be started up here by Olaf. They've got to find a way to get these objectives under control because they haven't been able to contest anything really. Coronar going down. Adonis able to pick that one up in the Dragon pit. They do seal it, but it is going to be kills going off the back, going over to MIT, who are able to clean that one up. It is now 6-3. They lose the Dragon, but they get a double kill for the Yasuo.
That they don't. That they do. Good start to that one. Again, I don't know what it is about Coronar. I feel like Coronar is playing very, like, back foot up against this LeBlanc. So he started off the laning phase by poking really well with the Comet, making sure she was low health so he couldn't come in. But he's been playing on the back foot, knowing, okay, LeBlanc's got the burst damage, can come in with the Ignite, things like that. But here's the thing. If you are backing up from a LeBlanc and she still has her ultimate, still has her distortion, you're going to get chunked out with the Q and the E anyway. There's no point. If Coronar jumps directly into the LeBlanc, you get the shield, you get a soldier reset, and you can throw the ultimate to disrupt her if she tries to escape from that fight. Her only choice is to turn and fight you, and you should have the advantage there. But he's not running cleanse, he's not running barrier, he can't get that defensive summoner to help him out against this LeBlanc, so he's playing scared. Look at that.
Oh no, he's just going to go down again. That's going to be the combo. Actually, over the wall, Janganator. The wall coming through, not going to get as much as they wanted, but Adonis goes down. That's going to be the pickup for Carlton Danks with the nice little axe throw there to finish him off.
I don't know what just happened. Some pinball just occurred between the Emperor's Divide, the Cataclysm, and the Alistar ultimate to that poor Adonis. He ends up going down. Still ends up being a 2-for-1, all things said and done. And the Azir continuing to get bullied, and this is the fear, is Azir not going to be ridiculously strong coming into the fight. So now you have a 3-kill Yasuo, thankfully, but he's going to be your main source of damage for at least another 10-15 minutes, just because of the fact that they don't have any strength from the Azir from Adontis' play in the mid lane. Good job from Adontis putting on the pressure early, making Corsair or Cornar back off, play less aggressive than he needs to.
Oh, the double last breath coming through as well, but has to get out immediately. That's going to be almost a kill going over Kirito, but the double TP in. The Shurima Shuffle isn't there, though. Not able to, as he doesn't have the Emperor's Divide after using it in the mid lane, and everybody gets out scratch-free.
Poor Plasma Cloud. He came in, and I know
So
he saw
fast.
in his eyes being able to flash and use that ultimate to get onto 3 members and then face breaker and get that big stun. But he gets minded up immediately when he teleports in. Exactly the fear we were gonna have for him coming in.
Yep, exactly that. I do really like the combination of the double TP, maybe a little bit overzealous, but if the fight would have continued, it was a perfect call. Now here, Jangonator does go in onto Anadonis, does have the backup of his team. He gets melted down pretty quickly though. Anadonis is so strong right now.
That he is. Not to mention the distortion bait being able to go back to his previous clone so that he doesn't end up tanking the full combo. Toxicity in a rough place. Yeah, he's into this proxy mode right now in the second.
Uh-oh. Cataclysm is available. He's going to use it. That's going to be Toxicity going down if they can finally get him. Conquer is that's going to be Corridor picking that one up.
Yeah, see, that's the combination that I was talking about for the team fight a little bit later on. It's Cornar being able to throw soldiers into the Cataclysm, whether or not the Jarvan is still in there, is going to be the main source of damage when you're talking about not only the Cinch, but like the Olaf if he doesn't have Flash, the Slux if she doesn't have Flash, numbers like that with no additional mobility to come in with, and that's the strength that you've got. Is you can't get onto anybody, and Azir gets the free fire away. That's a pretty nice place to be. I think it was a little over-aggressive. That's a lot of resources they just spent on the bottom side of the map to go to the top side and get the kill against 99 Toxicity when he's just proxying. When the set easily could have just pushed this wave and tried to make that happen. It looks like he's going to get the tower off the back end of it, thankfully.
Yeah, he is going to be able to burn that down, get a little bit more gold for himself. Plasma Cloud doing pretty well in the top lane for himself against the Singe that we thought was going to roll over him, but we are obviously wrong. In the bot lane, though, the Yasuo against the Ezreal here, you have seen a lot of solo lane Yasuo here as Kirito is trying to get something going in other lanes, trying to give this Yasuo even more farm, even more levels. He's already up on farm. He's got 3 kills. He's about to finish his second item. That Yasuo is feeling pretty good. Now, I don't know how that pairs up against this this wonderful LeBlanc, but it is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Except, I don't mind the fact that Kirito is roaming around the map, but I think if you've got this strong of a Yasuo with a combination as potent as the Alistar Yasuo on the bottom lane, especially against an Ezreal and a Lux, why not press that advantage even harder? Why not throw Jangonator into this bottom lane, throw Set into this bottom lane? You tried to do it the one time, it got shut down, but you can keep making that play over and over again. You don't need the TPs. Just have the Jarvan come down to the bottom lane, try to hit the EQ and do that. Instead, they're shifting power to the top lane to try to put Set in a better place, try to put Cornar in a better place, and I don't know that that's the play right now just because of how strong the Yasuo is. Wow.
Yeah, that's a bit rough. The Rift Herald did go down, as well as the Dragon being started up now by Stanford. Looking to take that one down. They will secure their second Dragon of the game. Jangonator has the Rift Herald available to him. Gonna have to see where he wants to use it, though. As you see a bit of a jungle invade here coming through from Stanford.
Yeah, we do. Again, the Cloud Drake user or take here is going to be the soul for the end of this game, which is, it's nice to have that ultimate cooldown reduction, but most of them have relatively low cooldowns as it is. This one is probably the cinch, just having basically permastats if you end up getting triple Cloud Drakes here.
Well, also, I mean, the ultimates for the side of Stanford go really well with the Cloud Dragon. Here, Jangonator getting engaged on. Ragnarok was popped to try and get onto them. That double light binding into it is going to be Phoenix picking up the kill on Corridor. Now it's going to be the triple last breath. The TP's coming in as well, and Adonis has joined the fight. Gib is going to go down next. Kirito is going to be the next to fall if they can take down the inky health bars of that cow man, as that is a complete fight in favor of the side of Stanford, who honestly were losing the fight at the beginning and turned it all around. Phoenix coming clutch.
That he did. It started off actually with a good light binding to get two members very, very low on the side of MIT, and it ended up being a fight where the Yasuo ended up tearing apart. But again, you don't have all of these resources put into the Yasuo lane. He isn't this pure carry. You have it spread out into the Set and a little bit even into the Jarvan as well. So because of the fact that Set never re-entered the fight, all that the side of Stanford had to do was bring down the Yasuo to make sure that the fight went in their favor, and that's exactly what they did. Adonis and Phoenix able to put the damage down to kill that member of their team. And now, again, Plasma Cloud's not going to do much in the late game up against the Singed in the side lane or in the team fights. It's going to be a struggle for him to even access fights. So why put resources into the top side when you could have been in Yasuo to get him in a place where he can take those big engagements with Alistar? And this is the first kind of clue to that, is like, no TP on Plasma Cloud, never rejoin the fight, and that gold goes to waste and can't even push in top lane sufficiently or mid lane sufficiently to get much done.
Yeah, I completely agree. And with the way the game state has kind of gone so far, it's just really back and forth with a lot of strengths on both sides, but some weaknesses on both sides as well. I kind of wanted to harp back on the point I was trying to talk about before that huge fight happened in the bot lane. I do like the Cloud Dragon for especially the Ragnarok, especially the Insanity Potion as well. Gonna help out a lot. The others maybe not so much, but that is gonna be a quick singe if they're able to secure that soul.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The movement speed added to it is kind of always a forgotten thing, but certainly strong on champions like the Singed or like the Olaf that want to be able to run in with that one. I was thinking more of the ultimate cooldown reduction. It doesn't really help Lux or LeBlanc all that much. It's like, what, 2 seconds off of those cooldowns. Lux's ultimate's basically a basic ability by the end of the game, if all things go well. So
it could help out the Ezreal, but with that being said, we still have a long way until the Dragon Soul comes up. We have about 2 minutes till the next Dragon is on the Rift. Baron is available as well. You do see some vision being put around there. Adonis just looking for the trades here. Does get the chain connected onto Kirito, as that health bar was big and now is very small.
That is the case. If you're on the side of MIT right now, you got to 5 a pure 5-on-5 because that's the best place that you can fight at right now. If you can get a multi-person knockup with the Alistar, set up good kind of chaining with this with the Azir or with the Jarvan as well to get Yasuo to get set into the fight well, and to get Coronar using those auto attacks for the Azir soldiers to put out the DPS, you're going to be in a good place. But right now they're struggling to make that happen just because of the fact they can't bait around any of these neutral objectives. They've been splitting neutral objectives most of the game, where one team gets one thing, one team gets another, and when they start having to fight for the neutral objectives, and when this will start. Now, Baron start up here.
Stanford immediately go for the Baron. They are going to be contested here. Everybody else scrambling to try to make it across the Rift here, as that's going to be Adonis going full into Janganator. He's taking the wrong path, though. Actually is going to get out because he goes towards his team, which helps him out. They're going to focus back on clearing this vision around the Baron. I don't know if they're actually going to start it. It does look like they just want to force it. They're trying to pull Gib from the bot side, but haven't been able to. And now, if Gib doesn't respond, they're just going to take the Baron.
It's correct. He could get multiple towers here, but the big thing is the TP's up for Gib, so he can enter this.
They pull off. They decide to not go for it. They didn't want to commit, and he's still bot lane taking that. Coronar is going to get blown up by Adonis. TP finally coming in. It might be a little bit too late. He's right in the middle of the fight. He's going to get the last breath on. That's the final spark. Following that up, though. Cataclysm there as well. That's going to be so much damage. Carlton Danks is in the fight. That is a complete ace. And Stanford are going to the Baron.
They are. They're able to bait around it so well. They pull everybody in. The Yasuo needs to TP much faster if they want to take the engagement, and they have to take it around the Baron. They're clustered. Look how close they are. Alistar gets a 5-man knockup right here if you're able to make this happen. Instead, you let Ezreal and Lux and LeBlanc and Singed run out from the pit and spread out among everything that they have for the Yasuo to come in. The Azir died immediately as well because of the LeBlanc during the first damage. I pointed that out earlier on. And if you're going to take this fight, take it around the Baron. If you're not, let Yasuo keep split pushing. He was killing the rest of the base. He could have easily taken top inner, if not inhibitor tower as well. And this team doesn't have the damage. A 4-man squad here is still able to contest that Baron buff against a very squishy and more ranged composition. I think that was a big mistake from the side of MIT to make that decision and try to take the fight away from the Baron buff.
Yeah, I mean, Stanford all of a sudden just has knocked the MIT horse rider off, taken the reins, and said, this is my game now. I am in the driver's seat, as they are one dragon away from the soul. and just take a great fight for themselves. A clean ace. Obviously, their health bars were very low, but that late TP in from Gib was just a bit unfortunate. As you said, could have focused on those towers. They could have given up that Baron and gotten a little bit more for it. Honestly, the biggest point in that fight was Coronar getting wiped out there by Anadonis. It set up everything else. They didn't have that extra damage. They didn't have the setup. They didn't have the Azir tower, and it really, really hurt them. So good on Stanford to take that moment and seize it.
For a composition that's running with Set, with Azir, with Jarvan, with Alistar, even with Yasuo in it, you cannot get engaged on by a team with an Ezreal, a Lux, and a LeBlanc. If that happens, you're asking for danger to come through. You're asking for LeBlanc to get onto your carries necessarily. I also want to point out that TP, it got him into the fight, but it was in a really bad place. He took 75% of his health bar before Alistar even got a knock-up during that fight to get him in the air, which is just not what you want to do. If they're going to make that play happen in the mid lane, they need to get a 2-3 person knockup as he TPs in to set up the ultimate when he arrives so that the fight breaks out in their favor immediately instead of waiting on that. Now the siege comes into their base.
Yeah, and they are sieging very, very strongly. Actually, very good minion wave clear from Coronar, but another round is coming right at them. You have to be careful. That's going to be Plasma Cloud getting stunned up. The re-engage there. Last Breath's going to go into one-member Cataclysm following that up, but I don't know if they have this. Saksu's going to survive. They're turning it around. It's going to be Phoenix doing so much damage as well. Adonis and Phoenix are on fire in this game.
They are. It's really tough. You don't get the engagement out as cleanly as you need. Gang doesn't actually get into this backline to be able to kill anybody. You try to get on the Saksu, it doesn't work. By the way, who's alive? Plasma Cloud. You want to know why? He wasn't in the fight. His ultimate's still up. This is the problem. Don't put resources into the set. You don't need to. And you're going to lose the game off the back of this one.
Yeah, they are. That's going to be the tower spawn. They're trying to go for some more kills here. They're trying to pick up a little bit more for themselves, but it's Phoenix who's focusing. Showstopper's going to come out, though. A last-ditch effort. That ultimate finally used, but not going to be worth it, as actually they are going to be pushed off of the Nexus. Honestly, they could have probably finished it there, but want to take their gold that they've gotten, want to take their lead, and really buff themselves up.
The fear coming through is that the Alistar and the Yasuo combo is back up. So if they kill even one or two of you, you end up getting wiped. You don't really lose much up on the map, but you don't get much for overextending. So don't want to give the shutdown gold anything over to the opposite team. Instead, they pull out, they make a tactical retreat, and make sure they can come back. Now they're in a much better position. They've got a 5,000-6,000 gold lead sitting in their inventory. They've got an inhibitor broken in the mid lane that needs to be pushed out before the side of MIT can come out to contest either the Baron or the Cloud Soul that will put this team in much better position. And now they can also play a split push game where Singe plays in a side lane and the rest play in the opposite lane. I don't know that that's helpful because, again, the set can match that side lane pressure of the Singe, and it's better to play the Fear 5-on-5. So the question is, do they go top or do they go bottom for that particular instant? But it kind of depends where
mid.
They go to.
They don't care. They're just going to go straight up the throat. Yeah, they just want to take out the base here. They want to win it. They want to take their first win. Both of these teams having lost their first games of the tournament, they want to secure a win for themselves. And MIT are on the back foot here. Have to defend. Plasma Cloud being poked out yet again. Has to be careful. Here comes Adonis. Coronar already down 1/3 health. That's just going to be it. Here comes the engage. You see the Ragnarok popped early. Haymaker's going to go through the 3 knockup, but it's not going to be followed up by the breath as another Showstopper comes in. But Yasuo was unable to make anything happen. And that's going to be the slow but steady fall of MIT as Stanford is going to take their first game of the tournament.
The fight gets broken apart so heavily across all things. Yasuo got pushed out the top of the fight. Azir got pushed down in the bottom of the fight, and you can't play like that if you've got this composition from MIT. Play clustered, play together, and the set comes in, finally gets a couple of showstoppers off, but it doesn't matter. He doesn't have anyone behind him to make the play happen.
Yeah, it definitely was a crazy game, back and forth. Stanford able to pick up their first win in a very convincing fashion here. Unfortunately for MIT, their composition just did not have as much synergy as they were hoping for on paper. But, man, what a game from Stanford, really showing us what we were lacking in the first game.
Yeah, Anadonis looked really, really good 2 games in a row on his mid lane now, and I got to give him a lot of props. He's a star right now. Toxicity, outside of the first play that happened, his laning phase actually went really well. I think the set getting 2 kills early on didn't help the laning phase, but it didn't ever really look like Toxicity did anything to lose it. Like, he was actually felt like he was on the front foot through most of the laning phase despite those 2 kills. So there's that pressure that comes through. Carlton Danks looks way more comfortable in the jungle than he did at support. And yeah, Phoenix and Soxo didn't have the best laning phase, but they looked pretty serviceable at minimum. So I think this lineup, the way that it's been listed for Stanford, looks a lot better than what we saw in game number 1.
Yeah, it definitely does. And with that being said, we're going to send it to a small little break as we get ready for game number 3. It is going to be coming right at you. It's going to be Yale versus Harvard. You're not going to want to miss it.